Welcome to the lounge. I'm your lounge host, Dean Ryan, and what a show we have tonight. We have a tremendous show. We're going to be getting into some very unusual topics you don't hear on the mainstream news, or really the mainstream alternative, if you will. We're going to be getting into DARPA and the weaponized mosquitoes, which is actually the name of tonight's episode, which is brought to you by our membership, which has given us this opportunity to be here with everyone tonight who is going to be lounging with us. But more importantly, we actually have some big guests who I'm going to bring up shortly. We have a returning guest, Nick No, who you probably remember from earlier in the year when we got into the wargaming and the January 6th debacle, that ordinary day that turned into the biggest holiday of the deep state. But also we have a great researcher. She'll be joining us tonight as well. Her name is Gina E. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's French or something. So she'll be joining us as well. Anyways, we're going to get started here. I'm going to bring first to the stage here at the lounge, who's going to be lounging with us tonight, my good old friend, Nick No. Nick, welcome to the lounge. There he is.
Hey, Dean, thanks for having me.
It's good to see you. He's also helping navigate the planes into Chicago O'Hare tonight, so he's doing double duty. That's right. Navigator. That's right. And then also, we're going to bring Nick's friend to the lounge. She'll be lounging with us tonight, a great researcher. All right, and welcome, Jenna, to the lounge. Good to see you. Yes. Uli Pupushe Alitwa. Okay, so anyways, welcome to... So before we get started, many of you remember Nick earlier on from 2020 and a lot of the Realty reports back then, special reports. And Nick really... brought to my attention a lot of things, whether it was January 6th, which we can touch upon, but and some other things. But real quick, Nick, what do you think about this January 6th commission headed by the daughter of the Penguin herself, Liz Cheney, who's now they're trying to subpoena everyone? Are they trying to subpoena you because you were there allegedly? Are they just going after you and all your friends right now?
No, but if they did subpoena me, it'd be really bad news for them. I've got video evidence of what can only be described as a false flag attack. I don't know who orchestrated it. That's still out there, but there's certain things that they wouldn't want to come to light that I could bring up.
Right, and I was supposed to be there that day, but I was too lazy to go. So maybe my laziness helped me. But yeah, that daughter of that monster, Liz Cheney is heading this commission now. She said she's going after Donald Trump. She really hates Donald Trump and everyone connected to him. And if you don't know who I'm talking about this woman right here. Yeah, Liz Cheney is reckless. She is reckless, and somebody needs to feed her a fish and send her back to the North Pole. You little. Penguin whore you. Anyways, so there's a lot to talk about tonight. I don't want to divulge too much on January 6th because I don't want to fall asleep too fast. It's one of the most insignificant days in human history. But let's get into this. You brought to my attention, Nick, or let me just go to Jenna because Nick is he's thinking. Jenna, you have researched some things here. Before we get into it, what is the kind of overall topic we're about to divulge and go deep into a rabbit hole with here? How about you just give the synopsis of what we're about to see?
Sure. So basically the similarities between the COVID vaccine and the gene editing that they're doing with the mosquitoes.
Okay, and I don't know if Nick told you that's going to cost you $10. We're not allowed to see the V word, or a shot, one of your picks. So not my rules, but you know how Nick is. Anyways, so we're about to dive into what I believe they're trying to do is they know the people around the world do not want the miracles, the jabs, the miracles of life. Mm-hmm. So you've heard reports over the course of the past 6 months or more. They're putting it in the cabbage, in the lettuce, in the foods. I know in California, in Newport Beach, at the Hoag Hospital, they're trying to give kids the miracles in the pill form, you know, like Flintstone vitamins and stuff. So they're going all out. And what you guys brought to my attention yesterday is going to be groundbreaking. We're about to get into, but let me read this article first. And Nick, why don't you explain what I'm about to read here? Because it has genetic therapies and a new design bioweapon they're going to be replicating in the miracle jabs. Go ahead, Nick, and I'll get into
Yes,
this.
DARPA already had the miracle jabs in mind, and they even described where they could locate and isolate the spike proteins that they needed to do the damage that they wanted. Don't forget that DARPA starts with defense. That's what the D stands for, research. So don't forget about what their purpose is. It's to maim, kill, and destroy targets and populations if they must.
Let me tell people what the acronym DARPA is for. It's part of the United States Departments of Defense. It's one of the maybe a subsidiary of it, but it stands for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. And it's loaded with scientists, just all kinds of different things. But so here's what we're finding out here. And I don't know if I could show this on the screen, but I'll tell you what it is. What we're finding out is the following: that scientists have now, in DARPA, have now directly collaborated with what they're calling the Batwoman, Zheng Shai of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Well, this research proposal explicitly states that the bat, the bat who loves us, well, collected in southern China by the Wuhan Institute of Virology, would be isolated, genetically sequenced, particularly the spike proteins, particularly with spike proteins, which are the elements initiating infection. Now, it was proposed that they're going to use these spike proteins that are demonstrating, quote, high risk for human infection, would be artificially combined with the other bats that have the virus that hates us, and the, quote, backbones in creating an entirely new, dangerous coronavirus. Isn't that something? They're trying to, essentially what they're trying to do is make a more deadly, powerful, genetically confined COVID-19. Am I correct on that, Nick?
Yeah, this is documented too. The Gateway Pundit reported on it, and this is the second time they went further in their research, because they thought, this is pretty significant. And then the further they dug, the more they found out. And DARPA had a hand in all of it, actually. The documentation exists. So if they really wanted to trace it all the way back, yeah, it was leaked in China. But I think we all know that Fauci probably had a hand in that, along with DARPA and their plans. And that's one of the reasons we're bringing it up, because the show is about the vector, right? You got a syringe vector with this, and what would be a better delivery system? And, Jenna will talk about the people who funded this research with these skeeters and why that's important, because that person just loves different types of vectors to deliver this spike protein.
So here's the chart. I think this might help people understand. You want to explain what this chart is? This is like the human, I guess this is what we see now, right? Correct? At the top, here are the bats that love us, and they're putting all this together with SARS. They are missing HIV, which we know is in the miracle jabs, hence the leaked emails from the Gates Foundation last year. Okay.
Yes.
So
well, you let the cat out of the bag, and we'll have Jenna talk about that. First, I want to talk about what the spike protein actually does.
Okay.
The best of my understanding, it latches to specific ACE receptors, and certain organs in your body have these receptors. Now, that's all, that's not as detrimental to those organs, and not to mention the lungs in particular with the oxygen exchange. That's why people have to have the oxygen with it, and they can't breathe as well. Their O2 levels drop. Don't forget that they get forced to wear masks. But one of the big problems is that whenever they're traveling through the bloodstream, they lodge themselves in the capillaries. And over time, if you have enough of these spike proteins in your bloodstream, they will accumulate in the capillaries, and that's where the blood flow slows down to almost a standstill, but it's where the blood cells can actually deliver the nutrients to the organs, and they're being blocked at the microscopic level. That's a big problem. Now, of course, that's one of the reasons that they chose it, and I'm sure that's what's causing a lot of the issues here. And I personally, I won't name their name, but I know someone who is 32 years old, refused to get it. They weren't allowed to see their daughters unless they got it.
Right.
Got it, And after the second one, within a week, they had to go to the hospital, started getting confused, not knowing what's going on. It turns out that they had organ failure, liver and kidney failure, and the ammonia had built up in their bloodstream, and that's
Okay.
what was causing it. And then by the end of the next week, they were gone. So
Okay.
it's
Well,
personal for
sorry to
me.
hear that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry to hear that. That's a terrible story. I want to bring Gina in. Is So you sent me some things here. Let's get into this because now we know they're modifying a corona 19 whatever virus that has been thus far weak. Now we could say that is because Dr. Charles Lieber was arrested January of last year at Logan Airport with his two PLA student aides from China. They had 17 vials on them. We
Yeah.
could say that because of that, people's agitation, sniffles have never been deadly to begin with. However, you sent me, based off what Nick has just said, now we're getting into well, how are they going to roll this out? And you have saw some things, some parasites and some modified mosquitoes. Let's talk about that, and I'll try to pull some things up here.
Sure. So starting with the actual company that helped, roll out the mosquitoes. It's called Oxitec, Oxitec. And if you can you pull up the
Yeah, I got it here. I'll put
screenshot?
that up there. Yeah, here it is. So this is their website. Can I just show the website? Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I can do that. Yes. So this is the Oxitec, not to be confused with the other oxys out there. And now, what exactly are they again? They're a modified. There it is.
Yeah, this and see they're just letting loose, which is concerning. I mean, they just let them out in Florida very recently.
So those are mosquitoes he's putting in here. This little janitor guy here, and he's putting mosquitoes out. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. And they've done it before, except my theory is that the COVID-19 that thing reacts with the vector, aka the mosquito, and so pretty much because people took the miracle jab, now that if they get bit, it
Okay.
it causes effects like
Okay,
more.
I have some of these. I'm going to show some of these pictures that you gave me. I just found them. Okay, now as I'm bringing these up, Nick, I want to ask you, why is the U.S. government using taxpayer money to not only fund this, which you would think it would be for adversaries of the U.S., but this seems to be being done on purpose against the American people, does it not? Because it's appearing that way.
I highly doubt that it was a lack of oversight that caused the problem. It seems pretty contrived to me, and let me explain why. Look at the drug companies. Look at what they're doing. You've got Pfizer, I believe, right? They're asking for 70 years to have a court order to block the results of their injections. Okay, now why would you want 70 years cushion before you get to release this information? What do you have to hide? I mean, hell, our security clearance stuff. I mean, top secret's 50 years. You're wanting 70 years? That's our above top secret stuff. I mean, a lot of it doesn't even come out anyway. But you're talking about the most sensitive stuff, H-bomb stuff. That's what they're trying to act like this is. It's so damaging to our country that we got to hide it away for 70 years. Okay, now what are you doing? What do you need to do? Why do you need 70 years? So that way you can go ahead and pass on before the results of what you've been doing are shared. I got a lot of questions for that, and then then you start to think about, okay, what can you show that this is going on, that they've got some sort of other agenda, and then you go look at the ingredients, or you try to, and then they're blacked out like it's a classified document. You go to the ingredients; they're supposed to be released, by the way, before the FDA approved them, and so they had 2 weeks or whatever after they announced that to produce the ingredients, and they did, and guess what? Blacked out like it's a black program, all
Right,
blacked out.
right.
So what exactly are they putting in people, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then
Yeah, we have a few ideas, but let's touch upon that. Let's get back to that point. I hope this is the right slide, Jenna. Let me know if it is, but if you want to take it from here, continue on that, and then Nick, feel free to chime in with what you see here. Go ahead.
sure.
Yeah, backing up to Oxitec just to be able to tie this in. So one thing with Oxytec in particular, and that's why I'm kind of skeptical about what sensor, because the irony is that they're using a fluorescent marker in the mosquitoes, right? Well, so are they with the COVID-19 vaccine. But I
Okay.
said the word again.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't.
It's called luciferase, by the way.
Yeah, luciferase.
$20.
$20
Okay.
again. And this DS Red 2 from the Oxytec website, and you won't, that's what it's called. It's like, they call it that, and not luciferase. But anyway, it's from the sea. It's a crustacean. And the whole point is it's cheap, right? There's so much ocean out there. And so I thought that was interesting because they're not using the atypical vector. I mean, you can use multiple, right?
Okay.
But,
so there's that. And let me skip to this next one here. I mean, DARPA, just the name DARPA alone sounds like the darkest entity ever. And they're leeching off us like little vampires, like Liz Cheney. Anyways, here's another one. This is in the same realm. And we're showing people this because these are the futuristic weapons for their future war. That's going to be so unconventional, you don't even know what's going to hit you. Go watch the documentary called Terminator, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, continuing here. Here it is.
oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is tissue. I'm going out of order, but people understand. They're very intuitive.
Yeah.
Right. So here's more fluorescent. Are we on the same pathway here?
A little bit. I mean,
Okay.
It's too hard to tell what type of nano.
Yeah.
Exactly that they're
So
using.
now, are we saying they're putting these in the mosquitoes? Am I understanding that correctly? They're putting them in insects, and then we're getting word, Nick. I'm going to throw you in here. Is some of these chemtrails are spraying? We happen to believe graphene oxide on the cities and the states, but cities that are very resistant to this global reset in the Chinese Wuhan takeover here. So I think what we're seeing and what we're trying to paint here is it's happening. The bioweapon attack is happening through the spray, because they put it in air ducts. All these conservative tours and all these people, high fiving, and they go on these big tours, and you have a saboteur that puts what I just shared with everybody into the air ducts, and people get sick. It's a fact. It happened, and I can tell you, it's happening everywhere. So that's why I won't go on tour. So, anyways, is that a possibility that you're now seeing now with mosquitoes, and what else are they going to use? Mammals to come and bite us and stuff. I mean, they're going all for broke, Nick. So what do you see on that war front?
Well, look at it this way. When in an interview with Bill Gates, they ask him, okay, so what are you doing now? And he talks about, well, we are out here giving vaccines to everyone. And then he went on to say, that he's made more money with vaccines than he's ever made with anything else.
Nick, I have to mute you because you've already broken the law twice. We're going to get you.
Lordy, shoot.
That means we have to drink.
Everyone just take a drink here because I'm losing my here.
I think we're not used to being
I know, but that's if this is how drinking games work. So Nick,
yep, this is a drinking game now.
I hate to punish you, but it's the rule around here.
It's hard. But
telling the truth is not allowed. We got to dance. All right.
Now we don't want to get drunk.
There's a
Bill Gates is a humanitarian that likes to deliver syringes with materials that he believes are good at population control, to quote him, good at reducing the population. And he really enjoys making a lot of money from that. And as Jenna has brought up, that some dollars appear to be behind these mosquito vectors to deliver whatever kind of material. Yeah, sure, they remove blood, but what do you got with malaria? You get that from mosquitoes, right? So it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that there's a delivery system. And then these mosquitoes, as Jenna has explained, they have, what was it? They have a limited life. What is it?
I mean, naturally, they live a couple of weeks, I think,
So,
but
Right.
their eggs live for like a year.
okay, I'm going to show people what the. I'm going to go back to that website as we're now talking about the mosquitoes. Now, remember, I told you guys this last night. We had a conference call, and remember what Prince Philip said, who allegedly just passed away. He is the husband of that German tourist called Queen Elizabeth. Remember what he said, that when he dies, he wants to come back in the form of a mosquito and just give 80% of the world the virus to take everyone out. And everyone at the time said, "Oh, how cute! That old man, he has an imagination. Oh, that Prince Philip, now he's dead." And we're like, "Oh my God, that horrible monster!" You know.
Last words of confession.
So here is the website here, and Jen, why don't you take over? And because we saw this yesterday. And let's talk about the different insects they're using. You'll see pictures of it. Here it is. Okay, you want to talk about this?
Yeah. So this first one, the Aedes aegypti, is actually responsible for yellow fever, dengue, chikungunya. I never can say that right.
Yeah, I think I've had that before. Yes.
And ironically, right, there's a massive amount of people with what is it, dengue in India, like 9 times the cases since 2019. And then for 80 years, Brazil has not had yellow fever. But since they decided to release these guys, well, and I believe they released them in 2019 in Brazil. But
sure. And okay, so let's go to his cousin here. Do we know about this one here?
not as much, because right now he's not making much of an appearance.
Right. Yeah. He's the
right.
middle child, literally. Yeah. Okay. But this is interesting, real quick. Just so I want, before we continue, is understand too. Now, repeat what you said about India, because I told you guys something last night. You said India's what again? They have a huge uptick in what?
Yeah, is it dengue? It's dengue. Brazil is yellow fever right now, and it's like they're picking, where they go. Africa's even seeing an uprise in them. I believe it's chikungunya, but anyway, yeah, India is seeing an uprise in dengue, and the past 2 years they've seen maybe 1,000 to 2,000 cases, and this year alone is 10,000, and multiple people are dying.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me explain, and then Nick, you feel free to just barge in. Is what we saw recently in the past 8 months with India is you saw this. Oh, there's a new uptick with the coronavirus from that stupid bat. And so here's my point. Let me make this point here because I have to, or else I'll forget. Is let's not forget who India is at war with at their border. They've been fighting China in a proxy war. India is the unofficial kind of sister country of the U.S. 26% of the medical field in the United States, meaning our doctors are Indian, American Indian. So there's a very healthy, long relationship that the country of India has with the U.S. and the UK for that fact. But remember when Trump was going out and all those deals he made with Modi, and there's a lot of other secret deals in regards of wartime practices. That's why China is releasing their bioweapons on India, which they couldn't get them in 2020 with the weak COVID-19 because we figured out Indians have chloroquine in their diets. They were the least affected. So think about that for a minute. So now we hear about this new uptick of the mosquitoes and all that. It's no accident. They want to take India and Russia out. That's why the Ukraine is a thing right now. It's because they want to be at the doorstep of Russia and India after they take out the West, which they've done 4 out of 5. The U.S. is the last the last domino to not have fallen yet completely. But once they do, if they complete it, India and Russia is going to be next, and you're going to see just mosquitoes everywhere and all kinds of other weird, pterodactyls, God knows what else. But let's continue on our journey here in the mosquito forest. Or here it is. Okay, so here's the 3, and then what else do we find here? Because they have the soybean looper. I mean, it's like biology class again. But yeah, continue, please, Jenna.
Yeah. So the soybean feeds on soybeans. And obviously, if they're doing different editing with them, That's a lot of DNA swapping. And then the ones that are most, I guess, worrisome to me are the ones that actually feed and put their larvae on crops, our crops. And one of those is going to be the diamondback moth, which is the leaves of cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, what else? Broccoli.
Okay. Lima beans, the whole thing. Okay, so
And I guess I should tell the process of and back up a little bit about
let's talk
why.
about that.
Yeah, it's worrisome that they're putting their larvae on the crops. But so basically, this gene editing consists of the male species of any of these species. The male species being gene edited, and then potentially when they mate with the female, when they produce their offspring, the offspring actually does not survive into adulthood. And
so they've perfected shortening the lifespans of organisms. That's interesting. Wonder how they do that.
So you're saying they're making these larvae, right? These worms, these soybean loopers. Am I saying this correctly, or am I
all
off
of
here?
them, yeah,
Okay.
all of them, really.
Here, I'll throw this back up on the site here. Let me check this out here. Basically, what you're saying is the following: that they're taking, here it is, all these things here, plus these guys, and they're making them like hyper feminized males. Am I understanding that correctly?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so they're basically replicating what they're doing to the human population, the hyperfeminization to this. Now, because it's just, I'm trying to put this all in layman's terms, because they're doing all these weaponries and scientific studies and putting literally the miracle jabs in these insects. You're telling me that when some of these insects land on the farmers' food crops, they're going to have the miracles of life in them. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, or something extremely similar, or something that was edited to react to each other.
Think about it too. Yeah. I mean, if their larva never really takes off, it doesn't eat or consume the fruit, and it's still sitting on top of it. The DNA's on it. I mean, hopefully everybody washes their stuff. If they don't, then that's a vector itself, in and of itself. You ingest it, right? If they've got anything on there.
And if it's already edited, I mean, you could do anything. It's like a computer program. If you can edit DNA, so you can make it more, deadly in any way. It's just worrisome, because what you can do with a vector is, well, the whole idea behind it is you turn it on or you turn it off. Like, I can turn on the viral or I can turn it off, and if I turn it off, it's gonna be fine. Well, who's turning it off?
Yeah, who's turning it off? And we know it's all on the black market and the dark net and all that stuff. So let me, I'm going to go back to this. Now, you brought this to speaking of India, this is a article called I'm going to let you pronounce it. I'm going to put it on screen, and we'll come back to the insect in our larva fest here. But India is a big factor here. It really is. And I truly believe, Nick, too, that it really is Russia and India that has been tailgating China as they've circumnavigated pretty much the entire West. But here is...
I have something to add about that later.
Oh, please do. Yeah, after the break. Okay, check this out here. So this is the Ahmedabad Chikungunya cases see steep rise, 9 times higher as compared to 2019. Isn't that interesting? They say since the last 3 years, the number of the impossible word I just pronounced, well, it's seen a sharp rise, with the year's cases reaching 9 times the total number of cases in 2019, as Jenna told you. Now, recently, within in the past week, this is astounding. 1,630 new cases have been reported, as compared to 183.
Wow.
Isn't that special?
And you can edit the DNA to make it more susceptible when you get bit, right? So you have 2 gene edited, individuals, if you will. I guess one's a mosquito, but you can make one of them turn on that susceptibility.
Yeah.
It's wow.
Yeah, kind of like how they have a series of these shots, and then eventually you get the kill shot. You get the initial ones that prime you for the final one that...
Well, we know too that there was saline shots being handed out to everybody. And if you were like the lucky winner of that, then you're still here today partying with us. If not, if you didn't get the golden ticket and you got the pink slip to hell, you're having a bad time. But however, let's talk about the black light component. And I don't know if people are aware, because we've been showing the black lights on our main show here for quite some time. But why don't we talk about that while I find that clip, and I'll put that up in a second. But what do we know about the black lights right now?
I don't know much besides a few cities or states, North Carolina in particular, California.
Yeah. Talk about, are they putting up more black lights in North Carolina?
Yeah, I've seen, I went on TikTok actually. So yeah,
Mhm.
get it here first. And wow, there's a ton of videos about it.
There's some
Yes.
nearby Indianapolis International Airport that I've seen before whenever I was traveling nearby there one time recently in the last, I don't know, month and a half, and they have these lined up along the roads there, and it's seemingly random in some instances because you'll have completely normally lit places, and then all of a sudden you have these, right?
Right.
And I've seen videos, and people speculate whatever, and then who knows what stuff is
Let me
disinformation.
tell
But
you. Right. I'm going to show a video,
yeah,
Nick, in 1 second. But
good.
let me tell you what this is, because they're already implementing this in Australia. And one of our colleagues here at Real Deal Media, Guru the Aussie Insider, he has warned me about this, because they usually start in the weaker countries, then they roll it down to us, to California. And what it's going to do is going to verify, just like when you go in a hotel room, and you want to see what parts of the room or the bed not to sit on, because you're looking for things. The same thing applies here. Now, here's a quick video of exactly what I'm talking about and what we've showed this audience several times. And you be the judge. Are black lights coming to your city? And if they are, what are we going to do to take them out? Because I have some ideas. But check this video out.
Today, there's a shine a light on the carpet at the same time. Shine it there, nearer to that door. Oh, jeez, look at that. I've had rooms. What do you think? It doesn't matter. Come on, shine it on the hand. Oh my God. What have they put in that? Do you think I should have had? No.
Listen, guys, now I'm really worried. This is where I got the shot, the second shot. Look at this.
Wow.
It's glowing. Now I go down my arm, and it gets worse. I have a little dot here, but the worst part, look at the vein in my hand. It glows. That is sick. Why is this doing this? Can someone tell me? Look at that.
Hey TikTok, so tonight I made an interesting discovery. Driving south from the 405 from Long Beach, over here in Sioux Beach by the power plant, and I noticed these. It's the black lights new lampposts that they've been putting in. And I've been seeing a lot of people talking on TikTok about these, saying that if you have the COVID vaccine, you're supposed to glow underneath it. And that they're going to be used to figure out who is vaccinated and who isn't. I don't know. So I wouldn't be able to tell you, but it's definitely something new. I've never seen this before. As far as visibility goes, I can't understand why they...
Okay, apparently he didn't get the memo either. Okay, so anyways, that is what we have discovered, that these black miracle lights, I guess you should say, are doing. But Nick, you want to take it away here and chime in on your thoughts on what we just witnessed?
Yes. Someone took apart one of these lights and showed what was behind it. Then there was some sort of transmitter in 5G. It transmitted information. Maybe it's some sort of relay, like we were talking about, information identifying people who have the shot. But the most important thing to notice is that when you go look at these lights, you can see that the typical light will have, I don't know, most of the surface area on the bottom half will be completely the light emanating, right? But with these, they look like smart, whether they would consider smart lights, whatever. It has the regular lamp looking thing, and then 50% of the surface area of the bottom is a panel. What's behind the panel? Makes you wonder.
Well, makes you wonder if that was the exact death ray, the weapon that was used at that demonic hack named Travis Scott. Because
Well,
I'll tell you, something was up with that. But
I've
yeah,
got more
go
to
ahead,
add
Nick.
about this. Now, listen, something to understand is that
Oh, shit.
I got a degree in air and space operation technology. I understand frequency and waves and transmission of signals and a lot of very sophisticated things in regards to this. Now, have you ever seen graphene oxide whenever it's given certain frequencies, it behaves a certain way? For example, I don't know, you can Google search this. I mean, it's pretty common stuff, and if they play a certain frequency, and you can see how it actually physically morphs into shapes and does certain things. Okay, yeah, that's all very interesting. Now imagine if you have this stuff flowing through your veins, and then it gets hit with a frequency, you get a phone call, you know, and then it
Yeah,
does a certain
yeah,
frequency, right? And then imagine that happening inside of your bloodstream with the graphene oxide, the liquid form of this
right,
stuff is a
right.
clear liquid, whatever, it can flow. But whenever this signal hits it, it changes shape, solid form, creates a blockage. You're dead. Think
I have
about
a
it.
That's
bead,
right.
like
That's
magnetic beads, and
yeah.
mixed with this phosphorus crustacean called red RS2. It says in the Oxytec. And when you look that up, I forget the name of the crustacean. I don't know if it'll come up. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting what they're using. But I just looked up streetlight blacklight, and one of the first things that came up was
Hmm.
rather disturbing. It said, sorry, environmental detection device and an environmental detection method. Cool.
Okay, so there you have it. The Minority Report was a foreshadowing. The Demolition Man, all those movies from yesteryear, all have a significant role to play now because they're almost passages in the sense that some of these drops and chapboards were. But Nick, I think it's more of a nefarious thing, and here's why: is if you saw what took place in Wisconsin roughly 2 weeks ago about the this guy that his brake pads weren't working. He took a wrong turn on a Christmas parade, which just happened before Thanksgiving because that's so normal. That's just what happens. I'm surprised. What, are we going to have the Easter parade next week? And Easter's in
Can you
April,
believe that they try to make it seem like it was an accident?
right? But here's what I'm getting at. Here's what I'm getting at. By 2030, the alleged governor of California, Mr. Perfect Hair, he signed into legislation, I believe last year, that all California will be manless cars by 2030. Furthermore, in addition to Uber, that wonderful little deep state car transportation company, they're investors in Uber. They don't make money right now. It's an investment for the great global reset when all cars are manless. And Uber's already tried this. They're trying to do it with freight. That's why they
Mm.
want to get rid of the human infrastructure and they want everyone to have the miracles. So all those jobs that humans have, they want the AIs to take over. So Uber is all part of this pandemic, just like Amazon. So with the black lights in California, for instance, on top of the
Oh wow,
on
you
top
just
of
melted my brain.
the child missing, and here's the license plate of the car that you see on the freeways in California. Those are going to be used for when people like Nick and or myself are just driving, and we're the humans that got away out of their camps that they're trying to put us into. That's what this is all about. The black
Yeah.
lights are the star of that Jews had to wear in the IBM for the concentration camps. That's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
none dare call it conspiracy at all. Don't you dare, or coincidence. So, anyways, we have more of this DARPA thing here. I want to show this too because we're coming up on a break here, but just to highlight the image here of these wonderful new gene limiting things. This is, I want to show this new insect too. This is incredible what you sent me, Jenna. But here is the light gene modifying everything. Here it is. Self-limiting gene, everything we talked about. But I want to start with the fluorescent marker. And because they're going to be insects, it's all tied to the black lights as well. everything there. Let me read that for you. It says, we've also, quote, introduced a marker gene into the insects, produces fluorescent protein. So the fluorescent protein is going to show up in the black lights. Do you get that? You understand? Like self-limiting genes and is inherited by all offspring. And here's the big one. It glows red under special light. Well, what's the special light? Just say what it is. It's the black light.
Well, and it's all for augmented reality at the end of the day. I mean, and who cares if someone dies off if they have bad genes, right? Yeah, because
Exactly.
guess what? It's like everything's going robotic. They don't
That's
care.
right.
They need less workers.
Here it is. It's also designed our insects that we can turn off the self-limiting gene with
Everyone
an
buy that.
antidote. There it is. They can turn you off, turn you on. Now, here's, I've told the story before we go to break. Before we go to break. Oh, I just realized what I said. Yeah, they can turn you on at any time. Some of these people. Okay, but this is a real story. If you recall the that show that Jesse Ventura did, Conspiracy Theory, many moons ago, and one of our former colleagues here, Sean Stone, was on it as well. He was on one of the seasons, and I did some consulting for Jesse during his book tours and helped him as a PR aficionado. But let me tell you the backstory. There was an episode that was not allowed to air by True TV, and it was on the TSA, and we're talking 2009. Well, why wouldn't they want this to air? Let me tell you why. Because the TSA, they were trying to roll out and trying to test and get past a trusted, verified flyer bracelet that you put. It's an electronic bracelet that you can just scroll through. You know, they made the lines hard to go through. But here is the kicker. They can take you down. They can paralyze you if they deem you a threat or a terrorist, you know. It would paralyze you, would fall to the ground on this trusted, verified flyer bracelet. Fast forward to what we're talking about tonight. They're doing the same damn thing. And South Korea has already practiced this in the beginnings of the pandemic in 2020. Montana was issuing this secretly because Montana, you have to understand, is the least populated state in America. It's like 1 million people, we think. So that's where they want to test it, where there's no witnesses. So just think about that. Think about everything we're telling you here tonight. So when we're going to take a break now. Now, when we get back, we're going to talk. I'm going to show everybody a better picture of this damn insect that loves us as well, with all the bioweapons in it. And then maybe Nick and I can start wargaming and what this means on the global scale. Maybe he could talk to us about what him and I got into with the Dr. or John Brennan and the Osama bin Laden fiasco. Maybe he'll be so nice, and because he was all over the news last year with his imam friend and that whole thing. Maybe we'll talk about Benghazi. But I do want to ask him about Hillary Clinton, that venomous cow fertilizer that seems to be coming back in the news. So we're going to take a break. Just stand by, everybody. We're going to take a break here. You're watching The Lounge, and what a lounge it's been. We will be back.
Be a visionary with debonair, a player from the Himalayas, iconic, not ironic, and become a night owl tonight, where like-minded members get together at the Night Owl Lounge, enjoying extra content, backstage hangouts, exclusive interviews, by going to realdealmedia.tv/membership. Again, that's realdealmedia.tv/membership. Join tonight.
Welcome back to The Lounge. Your host, Dean Ryan, lounging with you into the night. And what a show it's been tonight. I would be remiss if I didn't express that tonight is definitely brought to you by Real Deal Media Members Chat. Well, you have to be a member, and we encourage you to sign up to realdealmedia.tv/membership. We have Nick joining us, and then we have Jenna E joining us, who we're talking about a lot of things. And a lot of people are maybe 5 years ago, Nick, maybe even a year ago, before all this happened, would have said, you guys are absolutely crazy. I don't even want to go there.
Sure.
And totally understandable.
Shoot,
But
even some of the stuff that I found out about, I would have told someone who said the same things to me. I'd say, "Whew, this guy."
Well, right. So, but we're showing people that this is not just a comic book movie here. This isn't just a Batman villain here. We're not going there, people. We are there now, and we either get honest with ourselves and understand this is not the 20th century anymore. This is not conventional warfare. This is not your mother's kind of world war here. This is a new age of a brave new world that these people have been, they're 50 years in advancement of technology. I mean, MK Ultra is so old. They do something completely different now, Nick. I don't even know if we want to go there and talk about that, but McAfee knew something, didn't he? He knew something. So anyways,
Yeah, he did. Did you see that report with the Department of Defense where they just disclosed that they, to quote the Daily Beast article, the liberal one, that when they did an audit and they looked through all of this, that all of their content, that it was rampant. The child child pornography was all through all of their systems everywhere. And
in where? In the Pentagon?
The Department of Defense, yeah. And you want to know who the person was that was involved with that process to find that out?
Who?
The same guy that didn't kill himself in Spain.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now
nobody knows that. That's a dirty little secret.
Yeah. I see. If I said McAfee was not dead, and Facebook punished me, they sent me to my room, and that's why we're still restricted today, and we lost 60% of our audience. But speaking of the Daily Beast, and I want to touch upon McAfee, I want to show people this 15-second clip. My dear friend Roger Stone is no fan of the Daily Beast. Neither is Kristen Megan, who is part of our team here. She's actually suing the Daily Beast because they got really beastly with her in lies in between. Well, I think Roger Stone has the best methods or procedures of how to handle being accosted by the Daily Beast. And maybe if you're at home, you should take notes, because if you're ever in front of a Daily Beast journalist, you may want to do what Roger's about to do. Check this out.
Will you play it?
That you've decided to assert your Fifth Amendment rights. Do you have any comments, sir?
You're with the Daily Beast?
Yes, sir, I am.
Fuck you.
Excuse me, sir?
You're with the Daily Beast, right?
I'm with the Daily Beast.
Yeah, fuck you. I only talk to legitimate news organizations.
Just a hint. Okay, so anyway, sorry about that detour here, but it's the lounge.
Gosh,
by the way, how are you guys doing here on the lounge? Is it loungy enough for you? I hope nobody's too nervous here.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I've had a couple of these cactus soda things, and they're outstanding.
Okay, very good.
They're very relaxed.
Yeah. I could tell. Yeah, I've never seen Nick so relaxed before in my life. That's incredible.
It's a rarity.
Anyways, yeah. Are you sure it's just the drink there? Okay, so anyways, let me share this too. I'm going to go back to this. We're going to go back to the bio-weaponized insects. If you're just joining us, they're really doing this. They are weaponizing mosquitoes, like Prince Philip promised when he bit the dust, like Bill Gates and all these other people have talked about in TED Talks. They're like, how do we weaponize, or pretty much how do we miracle jab the world? Well, they're coming up with ideas, but let me read this here. Nick sent this to me in in this thing here. He said, the de facto scientific recipe for the laboratory creation of the COVID-19 84, the Coronapalooza, was described in the 2018 research grant application to the U.S. Department of Defense. It's pretty much DARPA, submitted by scientists who directly collaborated with Babylon. We told you about that. I'm reviewing for people that are just joining us. Now, the research proposal explicitly states that the southern China by the Wuhan would be isolated, genetically sequenced, and all the spikes and all the testing was going on there. So this is all coming out, and it's involving DARPA. It's not just the NIH, the National Institute of Health, like we originally thought. DARPA's involved. I would go as far as saying CERN is involved, hence the Travis Barker's concert, or Scott's concert. And Amazon's involved because Amazon agreed to take the first payments from the what was it, the dot tattoo? Who remembers that from last year? Target's involved, Walmart's involved, all the big corporate chains are involved. So why is that? And Jenna, why do you think that the corporations that America created, the ingenuity here and built, why are they turning around, Jenna? What are your thoughts in now trying to just murder us, the people that made them?
Right, right. Well, I believe that they want to go more robotic. They have not only 5G now, but they have the technology to go more robotic. And there are plenty of documents. You just need to know which, words to Google that outline this. They're going to be more robots, and they need less workers, essentially.
Right, I would agree to that. And how they're going to do that is I'm going to show everyone this, the insect that loves us. And then, Nick, let's get into the wargaming aspect of this and really get very nerdy for our audience tonight. So let's do that next. And Jen is welcome to play as well. All right, here it is. The DARPA selects teams to modify all these things. The micro. There's the insect that loves us. This was last year, Jen. Am I correct on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, from DARPA.mil. Yeah, there you go. You don't see this every day. But let me read this a little further. Just some of this is a review. This is the American Society of Microbiology estimates that there are trillions of microbes living in or are on the human body to constitute the human microbe. Okay. And here, mosquitoes are a particular concern to the Department of Defense as they transmit pathogens that cause diseases, all the ones we told you about earlier, malaria, yellow fever, to name some of the classic hits. While the
The only ones we're worried about right now.
Yeah. Those wonderful, American standards like the West Nile virus. I remember that one like it was yesterday. They have the refactor program that aims to maintain the health of military personnel operating disease endemic regions by reducing attraction, feeding mosquitoes, limiting exposure to mosquitoes. Okay, blah, 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 all this good stuff here. Okay, so here it is. Here it is, Nick. We see the plan now. The plan is that China has literally, we understand China's being used too by the technocratic dictatorships and the bankers, but let's just be war gamers here. China has not fired one shot, one bullet at the West.
Mm-hmm.
They've convinced us, like Jim Jones convinced everyone in Ghana to drink the Kool-Aid. They convinced us to kill ourselves. Where do you see this? And I'll ask Jen too. Where do we see this going now? Because now we're not just fighting communists, liberals, or neocons. We're fighting damn insects that are weaponized by DARPA to kill us. Where do we see this going, Nick? As this brave new world and this futuristic or this dystopic reality is now harpening and darkening our future here. Where do we see this going?
Well, the way they'd have it is that the population would be reduced to 500 million people to be more manageable with the technology that they have, which is hundreds, if not thousands of years more advanced than what we understand currently. And they could roll over with the technocracy, as Jenna was describing. We could, in theory, if you go look at the fast food restaurants, even some of them now are not fully automated yet, but some of them are half automated. You got someone, these machines flipping burgers, things like that. And sometime soon, there's going to be a time when you go up to the menu, you do the touch screen or whatever, you do vocal, whatever.
Yeah.
It shows up and you say, yeah, that's it. No mustard, no whatever, and it comes out perfect every time, no mistakes. And imagine that kind of world. Wouldn't that be convenient, right? Right. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem you run into is that the sophistication of the artificial intelligence and the computing power, it doubles every year and a half. Well, that was what it used to be before quantum computing. So who knows where that will be in the near term. So I'm thinking less than 7 years. It takes some time to make a production facility. The only thing that's holding that back from happening as fast is the development aspect of it, because you literally have to build the buildings, which takes some time. The warehouses, Amazon and stuff doesn't take very long. It's just throwing up a wigwam. But for the brick and mortars and things like that, it does take time planning, and it takes about 3 years for a larger project that has a lot of work put into it, a lot of planning, to
Sure.
go through, but like the very biggest ones take much longer.
Now,
So
yeah,
you see where I'm going with this.
and just to add to what you're saying, I want just to highlight what he's saying. If everyone recalls the Realty Report last year, we talked about the world consensus through Deagle, which is a military consensus, a private contractor, if you will, literally changed their population figures midway through the year drastically. I'm going to show you this right here on your screen. Deagle, Deagle, which I accidentally spelled wrong the first time I put dangle and got something completely different. But look at this thing here. Okay, so here it is. Let's start small here. This is 2013. Jenny, can you see that there? What does that say? Just so I can get a notary here.
Sure.
What does that say there?
2013, 316 million population.
Okay, 316 million. And understand too, that makes they say, oh, it's so overpopulated. No, the metroplex, the cities are overpopulated. You go through majority of California, it's nothing but desert. There's nothing there. You could just put an entire another nation in there. So just understand that. So 16 million. Now, from 2013 to 2020 and so forth, it's roughly up and down. You know, it's a little, not much change. Now, look what happens to 2025, and I'll tell you why. Nick, what does that say there? I can't seem to, my specs are missing.
Yeah, well, it says about 69 million.
69. Yeah, 69 million. Bingo. They're going for broke by 2025. They've had to spur this along. This was supposed to be Hillary Clinton, that dead cow fertilizer, demonic pig. She was supposed to be the cruise director right now into this pandemic.
What was her code name? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was called Evergreen, or it was called, I thought it was Water Buffalo for the longest time, but what is it? What is her code name?
Cankles. That's what the,
That's right.
let me tell you.
We've never had this experience. I mean, it's not like we've had, perfect presidents. We all know that's not the case. And, a lot of challenges throughout our history. But
that is not the same woman that was crying yesterday on the Today Show. You understand? They're using multiple doubles. She's probably dead. If she's not, they're still using doubles. And I told everybody that in 2016 with Dr. James Fetzer. Continue, Nick.
I think the most compelling argument you have with that is on September 11th, a couple of years ago, it looked like she fell and Secret Service kind of dragged her and threw her into the van. And then, the paparazzi, whatever, they followed her. And when the next person came out pretending to be her, is clearly not her, came out and they pretend like, oh, she's fine, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
That was, okay, look, it's very clear to me, and this is very, if anybody that has an IQ of 100 or higher can go look at this and see that there is a clear difference between the Hillary that went into the van and this Hillary that they presented afterward. What happened after, I don't know. And it seems like there have been a couple of times, like you mentioned, where they did some exclusive photos or whatever. It's all over Yahoo, whatever, and it's not her. Who's that person? Why are they even doing that? Why are they putting that person that's not her out there? It's very clear.
Exactly. So she has lookalikes. Now that if that sounds crazy to you, then you're ignorant to what the clandestine families of the world do. Whether it's Saddam Hussein, whether it was Gaddafi, whether it was just you pick a person. Okay, so in 2016. I did extensive coverage for one of my old shows on iHeart Radio. And what we discovered is when she came out, she falls down. She goes into a building that was to see her daughter or something, Chelsea in Manhattan or whatever. No, that building was a hospital. She comes out. A kid comes running up to Hillary. Oh, like Aunt Hillary, like, what kind of kid would do that? And then she's like jumping up and down over the kid. It was the same kid that ran up to the Pope like a week prior to hug him. The woman is dead, been dead, arrested, God knows what. But here's the point, Nick. Yeah. Is they're still using the character of Hillary for a reason? This is what I want to find out. What are your thoughts
body
on
doubles? We can't get too into the weeds on it, but there are body doubles all the time. But it's very clear in this instance that there was a body double. Whether or not she's alive, who knows? But maybe she had a bad day, bad hair day. Oh, send out the double. That kind of money, you got the Clinton Foundation, you're taking money from all these different countries. You got money for days. You could just go send in whoever you want. Who knows? It could be that simple.
Because they're trying. Here's what I'm saying, Jen. I'm going to throw you in here. Is they want these despots of the 20th century, whether it's Hillary Clinton or, Barack Obama, and basically they want the CIA, their people, because that's what we're really fighting. If you want to get into it, we're fighting an intelligence war in the United States. It's the FBI, CIA together with a good portion of the DOJ, and probably some Homeland Security, although there's like 5 different ones, all fighting against the supposed white hats or us, plus the sheriffs of America and militias, so in U.S. Marshals. So that's kind of if I had to put a chessboard together, that's what it is. Now, Jenna, I want to ask you is, I tend to believe they want their person in there so they can lead us into this 2025 model to meet their quota, and then to unleash holy hell with all these weaponized mosquitoes, weaponized insects that are just, larvae on our food, on top of the food demic, the food shortages. But what say you, Jenna? Because you've really looked deep into this topic here. How do you see this panning out?
Well, what are mosquitoes attracted to? Water, the most, I guess, is my biggest concern. And you have to watch what they're doing, right, before they do it. So right now, what they're doing, they're going to do, in the future, essentially. So looking at what they're doing right now, they're looking at a lot of flooding. A lot of states, governments are putting up levees, and they're talking about different plans. Wow. And then you have La Palma. That's a huge concern. For years, they've been talking about La Palma before it happened. Oh, if a volcano were to hit La Palma, then maybe half of the mountain would fall down, and then it would create a tsunami. It's a great situation.
Yeah, like I've told this audience, I've told you guys as well. La Palma was talked about 10 years ago in the History Channel, and all the experts say that they expected La Palma to fall in some kind of earthquake and then tsunami kind of fashion, and it was going to pretty much wipe out the entire east coast of the United States. Now, they said that's not supposed to happen for another 1,000 years. Now, in my mind at the time, I said, I can live with that. I think, okay, nothing to worry about. Now, here we are, roughly 10 years later. That's a big problem. It's a big problem because here's why I say, Jenna, because throughout 2020, there was a deep state, or it could have been direct energy weapons. They were trying to create earthquakes in California around volcanic centers and openings to create a volcanic explosion in the United States. They're doing this to the La Palma thing, just like they're trying to get insects and trying to poison us in our food and water. Let's not forget what happened in Houston last year when they put some virus amoebas in the drinking water in Houston, and people had, their brains started turning to mush. So here's what I'm asking. I'll ask Nick is, Nick, it seems like there's a desperation mood here that's happening by a deep state. Am I wrong on that? Because this is what we've talked about on the show, devolution. So let's get into that, if you would.
Well, all right, let's do that. We're going to use completely logical thinking here. You can look this up. Your guests can look this up. Your listeners and everybody can look this up. That President Trump did not hand over the nuclear football at the inauguration. Now, I used to work at Strategic Air Command, and much of what I did I can't talk about, but one of the things that, without going into detail about any plans or things that would happen, what I can would tell you about the implications of this is that when he did not hand that football over, that only time that can happen is if A, the guy who had the football suitcase or handcuffed to his wrist was driving, and there's a terrible accident, crushed him into just this little cube, and there's no way the jaws of life can get to that suitcase and briefcase to cut off his arm for all intents and purposes. They just cut it off and take it. All right. The only way that would not happen is if certain things went into action that would prevent that from being handed over to an enemy, or for for even in a risky situation. So what I'm telling you is that when that happened, that indicated to me continuity of government from this theory of devolution
right.
was initiated based upon those indicators. I mean, like I said, literally in this type of business, if you are a minute late, you are going to be reprimanded. I mean, you might even be kicked out of the military for a minute late on this stuff. I'm not even exaggerating. It's that serious.
Wow.
Now that happened. Okay, now then you throw into the mix that President Trump changed a couple of things about the year prior about when FEMA and Homeland Security can take over in situations. You know, we already have natural disasters. Everybody knows that. Now, he added another stipulation in there where if the government is incapacitated, then they can also take over, which is, I mean, basically look at it, the legislative, judicial, and executive branches all ended up in this position. You had the clear voter fraud. You had all of these people with affidavits clearly stating that there was voter fraud. They can all go to jail. Every single witness. I mean, I think I remember there was probably hundreds and then probably thousands. I don't know how many, but even 10 is a lot. Okay, and then you got the people during the election. They're putting up the cardboard, what are those called? You know, the little cardboard thing, whatever, to block from the view from the cameras. I mean, what are you doing behind? What are you doing where you don't want people to see? You know, we got all these things going on, and then one of my favorite things is that there's this guy. I have this video up to send it to you. There's this guy. He was former Italian mafia, and he's an informant. And he explained that Skinny Nicky he runs Philadelphia, but he lives in Florida, right? And he's offered $2 million to forge the ballots, right? To do all this stuff. And then you got the guy that was the semi. Okay, we could talk about this all day till we're blue in the face. Sure. But devolution is absolutely on the table. I mean, like I said, considering that one fact, and just based upon what I used to do and what I know, that one fact that he did not hand over the nuclear football, doesn't matter what anybody says. There's no argument that can change my mind. There's, like I said, if you're a minute late, your career is over. All right.
I want to add to what you're saying, Nick. And can we talk about Benghazi at all? And because Hillary's now coming back to the forefront. Just let me bring this to attention. I don't even know if Jenna knows this. That it's all coming back to me now, kind of thing. Is I verified that the pilot of Air Force One the main pilot has yet to fly around Joe Biden, you know, the dead guy, and Kamala Harris. Not one time. Yesterday, they encompassed the entire state capitol building in D.C. has been fenced off. Why? Why was there flooding there? You know, and like Jenna said, are they trying to flood the U.S. to get the bio mosquitoes? I don't know. And furthermore, whatever happened to the Wiener computer? And the intel we got is Elton Barr, former Attorney General. He never had it. Trump kept it for a reason. And why have there been ships and planes going back and forth to Gitmo?
I've seen those fly logs.
Yeah, nothing makes sense. And for the coverage of Biden, the way they let some of these stories about him, you know, crapping his pants, it's so contrived and fake to me. But it makes no sense to me at all. So who's getting played here? Somebody's getting played, and it better not be us. But a lot of people would say it is us. So I don't.
It's not us. That's all I can tell you. It's not us.
Yeah. But anyways, Jen, would you guys be open to taking a few questions as we kind of wind down here? And we have to. We're going to have to do this again and go deeper into the bioweapons because we could be here all night. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah.
So we wanted to take a few questions. This is something very interesting. Somebody says, this is Richard Kessler. Hello, Richard. Says, my main concern is he continues to promote the jabs. That is something interesting. Jenna, why do you think that is? Why don't we get your thesis on that inquiry?
With what I have, I would assume that there's the vector, aka, mosquito, whatever they were giving, it interacts with the miracle jab somehow. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, yeah,
Being augmented reality. Actually,
sure.
I think that's the end goal more so.
Nick, why? A lot of people are confused. Why does Donald Trump continue to promote the miracle jabs?
Oh, DT. Oh, I thought you meant just in general.
Oh no. You want to take another stab at that before Nick slam
No,
you?
give it to him.
Okay.
I have no idea because it hurts my heart.
Well, look at it this way. If you wanted to implement your communist agenda, the easiest way to do that would be to put everybody in a state of fear for 10 to 12 years before you have a cure. Usually, I mean, how long does it typically take for a virus or was it syringe vector to come out for the serum for a cure for a virus?
What are you talking about again?
The process takes 10 years, right? 10 to 12 years through testing and everything. So imagine having our economy shut down for 10 to 12 years. What would happen, huh? Or what would the results of that be?
Well, and that I think that so. Tell me, and Nick, you will know about this China route all the way to France or Paris or something. It's like this train. They're supposed to pretty much take over the world, and there's no use for America.
Okay, I'll tell you what that is. This is what you're talking about is the red rail system that China started in 2014 with Israel.
Mm-hmm.
It was a multi-billion-dollar thing. They say it's not finished. I think it is. I mean, it's hogwash to them fiddlesticks. It is totally finished, but it is to overshoot and bypass the Suez Canal. And so China wants to be the head of it, just like China wants the Panama Canal in Central America. And God forbid they get that, then it's game on. Now, in this merger, 2014 merger between Israel and China, they had an agreement for what I have dubbed my thesis last year as the multipolar world order, headed by China, with Israel set to be number 2 because they have the big internet flex capacitor underneath Israel. So that was it. Now, somewhere along the line, there was a double cross that happened, to my understanding, between Israel and China, and it has everything to do with the inauguration, which there wasn't any. I had a private security and Navy SEAL really tell me what took place on the day of the quote inauguration. Nothing. It was filmed prior. Think about it. And it'd be stupid of them to go into a just boarded up DC, all of them being there at once. Mm-hmm. So therefore, what you're talking about is the red rail system, which there's another secret red rail, like a huge monorail system in Sweden, and it's connected to CERN, who's trying to get to the middle and the center of the earth. So that's what it is. But there's a war now, a proxy war between Israel and China, and they're using Iran, who's the proxy of China, to fight Israel. Go ahead, Jenna.
Wow. I'm going to pass on that.
Anyways, why don't we take some more?
It's amazing. Thank you for all the info.
One thing that you mentioned that I thought was really interesting was the fences. So, I think that General Vallely had mentioned something. If you go back, there's a documentary that aired in April, I believe. I can't remember when exactly, but it was on HBO. It's called Q Into the Storm. If you go look at that and you rewatch the episode Game Over and listen very carefully to what General Vallely said, you might have some insights into what you were talking about.
Okay, well, just like I had the insights on the shipping crates, in March of 2020, we told you the Costco shipping yards, and I sent them to my guy, sent the intel, and here we are, almost 2 years later. The mainstream news on Drudge Report, they were going to use the cargo ships and crates from China to just shoot off ground-to-air missiles at the U.S. Do you know what kind of destruction that would have been? Incredible.
Yeah, it would be incredible. Let me tell you why it's inside the wire, but let me tell you more about that. Okay, so Mary Fanning, very good investigative journalist. There's been a couple of people that attacked her. I mean, actually, but the problem is that she's telling the truth. That's the problem. They get upset. That's what happens. So she did this very, very thorough report about how the K-Club missiles, and basically we had this program to use shipping containers to basically hide missiles, medium range missiles, because obviously if you're on shipping containers, if you get them inside the wire, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have long range, right? That's the beauty of it. So we had those, and Ash Carter, this guy, I think he's under Obama, right? Ash Carter he said, "Oh, we're going to kill the program," and then what do you know? I think it was probably less than a year later, that Russia comes out and then they do their little thing and they show, oh, look at our stuff. They, then they sell their defense stuff. They have defense companies too, just like we do now. And so they paraded that stuff around. How do you think China got that? Do you think it was an accident? Why do you think that Hillary's server was going to China? Look it up. It's all there. Look it up. Why do you think that the copies were going to China? They're getting CC'd on everything. What do you think's going on here? And then she had stuff that was not only above top secret. It was it was not just compartmentalized. It was you had to have it was in a safe. You don't transmit that digitally. And she not only did, but it was being relayed to China. Now people often wonder what the heck was on her server. Julian Assange tweeted a couple of torrents that, if you look them up, I have them. I'll have to give them to you sometime.
Jen, I'll throw you in here. You said, I asked you the other night, I said, how do we fight back against these bio-weaponized?
Right. It's almost like they built this system that we're relying on, and now we're in trouble because now we rely on them. And now they're like, oh, no, we don't want you to, rely on us. So, you can look at it a couple ways. You can look at it as like, you're an asshole, or you can just suck it up and do it yourself. But
do what it takes.
It felt like she was calling me an asshole. She was calling me.
We're domesticated is what happened. We got too domesticated.
Right. And I'll take it. But
okay, so here's that's so it's self-reliance at the end of the evening here. Here's another. Here's one more. This is Dorothy Cornwall says China is the silent pawn in the hands of America. America is the real wicked people. I love them, but it's true. Well, how's it true, Dorothy? How's it true? Is it true because you're a contrarian, therefore it's true, and everything I'm saying is opposite? Because, Dorothy, I'm the contrarian, so therefore you're the conformist because you're going against the contrarian, according to math. But he might have a point there, Dorothy. Dorothy might have a point. I just have to, but...
You sure look at Yuri Bezmenov talks about it, the irregular warfare that they've been imposing on the United States for a long time.
Xi Jinping could be in the control rooms here too with some of our players, and trying to get rid of his deep state too. That's been whispered campaigned. Fooled me once, fool me twice, won't get fooled again.
You won't fool me again.
Okay, let's just do one more. The questions are incredible. Nick, I'm gonna ask you is, you have been entrenched in the national conversation here. You and I, we got in the thick of it with your Falcon trainer who is connected to Brennan, who, you were all over the news, and I was right there with you, just behind the scenes. And people have been waiting and waiting and waiting to take back the reality, take back their lives. And I'm not one for dates. I'm giving people dates and false hope, or I just tell people what I hear, and I tell people like it is. But can you say right now, with great certainty and great, just I would say confidence, that this whole thing is going to turn around in a short period of time?
Dean, I can't tell you the exact amount of time that it's going to take, but the people who needed to have the information have it, and their timeline is not my business. I've done my part.
Okay.
We've all done our part, and there's really no escaping the fact that there was treason. That's very apparent. There's no way to escape that. Now, how they handle it, how they approach it, the pathways, I don't know. The timelines, I don't know.
I accept that. And Jenna, it sounds like he's saying January, so we'll accept that. Jenna, let's get to, we're going to do our final thoughts here, and we're cutting Nick off because he might have to drive later, just repark his car. But Jenna, let's go to you. Final thoughts, Jenna, is your first appearance here in the lounge, and we've covered a whole array of different topics here. But in your view, of everything we spoke about tonight, what do you think is the most important thing people need to pay attention to? Because there's just an oversaturation of issues, problems, and all these things. What would your advice be for people to pay attention to here?
Right. I would look at what their projects are there, right? Look at a lot of patents, a lot of the words that we've used. Look up those are your search words, those are your keywords, right? And get a bag packed, be ready to go. Just the one thing that does worry me the most, and I mean, who really knows, is that dark winter thing. I was talking about that earlier. Get a generator. I don't know.
Okay, get a generator. Okay, right. So it really goes back to self-reliance, and in the devolution and the term and the practice of, I think what the underlining takeaway is, we have lost touch with our grandparents and what they experienced and went through from the Great Depression and World War II. We have been a spoiled, decadent population for decades. We have been worshiping golden calves of society and the prestige that comes with it. And it really has come back to bite us in the end, which is, by the way, my final thoughts here. But
How does that saying go, Dean? Hard times make, how does it go? Hard times make strong men, and good times make weak men. How does that work? Do you remember that saying?
No, you got it down. That's it. But just to cap off what I'm saying here, as we go into our after party in about 10 minutes or so, is the takeaway. Is we're doing our own research here. We have these two fine people here doing their research, providing it for everyone because everyone's busy. But we have to be hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Nobody's an absolutist here. Even Dorothy, he's not an absolutist, and I'm certainly not an absolutist. But I'm pretty damn close sometimes. But still, there's that margin of error. But that's the best we can do because this is a psychological warfare like we've never seen before. I mean, on a grand scale. It's glorious in some respects. I was like, wow, I never thought about that. But it's also terrifying because we're starring in this movie. Yeah. So, anyways, I want to thank my guest tonight. I want to thank Nick for joining us tonight. I want to thank Jenna for her wonderful research as well. And we definitely want to have you guys back on. And there's so much deep dives we can do because that's how we're going to get to the bottom of things. So. Anyways, for my guest here tonight, for everyone here at Real Deal Media, I'm Dean Ryan. Thank you for sharing a bit of your night with us here. We hope you had a takeaway of just how evil mosquitoes are and always were, but more so now than ever. So thanks for watching. And always remember to stay tuned, stay awake. Good night, everybody.